Hey everybody, so I applied to residency. Let's circle back. Hi everybody, my name is Camille. I am a fourth year medical student. I have applied to residency like I just said. I have been on this journey and been documenting it for such a long time. I'm so happy to be back on here now that I can breathe. I'm a fourth year, and usually everyone says in fourth year you have time to be yourself, get back to the things that you actually enjoy. You've taken the 2 boards that you need to take. You're just on the trajectory to graduating. And so now that I'm there, I wanted to make a quick video about what specialties I was interested in from first year, second year, third, and now fourth year. So if you're interested in what I was thinking, stay tuned. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. My first year, I was a first year liaison for the internal medicine club. I thought I was gung-ho internal medicine. You know, I loved adults. You know, I could just go straight through, learn whatever I wanted for 3 years, get a great foundational knowledge on basically all the internal systems of the body. So you got heart, you got your lungs, you got your pancreas, like you have literally everything that's inside of you. And you got to learn, what are the electrolyte imbalances? How do you read an EKG strip? How do you maintain this specific dose of this medication so you can see some type of benefits in your patient? I just loved it. I thought it was great. It was fascinating. And because knowing my personality, I could become really good at knowing a lot of different things, and knowing the physiology behind it, it just was super appealing to me. And so I became the first year liaison, and then I became the secretary for internal medicine club. And I was just gung-ho. I was thinking maybe something cardiac, that seemed cool. Heme onc seemed cool. And at the end of the day, I knew I would have to start getting some experience within that. And so I started doing research, specifically cancer research, thinking that hematology oncology was something I wanted to go into. And so through that, I started doing ENT research, and I just thought it was fascinating. Like, you will see patients for coughs, you'll see patients for COPD, you'll see patients for pneumonia, but then it hit me that I'm not quite sure if I just want to be using my mind to help patients. Although there's internal medicine subspecialties like GI and things like that where you're able to be a little more hands-on and do procedures with your patients, I realized that maybe something else was for me. And I think I thought of this more so after I started volunteering. And I started at a food pantry helping bag goods. We were doing canned goods, we were packaging them up to be given to rural health clinics and people who were in need. And then we also would scoop Krispies, the cereal, and pasta, and we would be doing oats, and we'd just be scooping and scooping. And I was like, wow, I'm doing something of purpose with my hands. And so going into second year, I was like, you know what? I've always had an interest in women's health. You know, I was an HIV counselor. I had a bunch of experience being a sexual health educator on campus. And I was like, you know what? I really enjoy just like talking to people. Contraception was just something I've always talked about. Like, even my friends would come up to me and ask me for advice, information, education. And I would just do that. And if you're watching this and I've done it for you, like, you already know, like, that's just something I've done. It's come easy to me. And so during my second year of medical school, I was interested more in OBGYN, women's health, and radiology. Because my first year, I was interested in anatomy, not so much internal medicine, but maybe radiology. I always had a knack for picking out things. I'm very detailed oriented, as you would think most medical students are type A personalities, and so they're very meticulous in what they do. And with radiology, towards the end, no, I would say towards the middle of second year, we had to start incorporating that into our board studying in terms of just academic learning. And second year we started being system-based, and I remember I always enjoyed the radiology lectures, and I always enjoyed the women's health lectures. And so that's why at the end of second year, I would say I was mostly looking into radiology and OBGYN. Fast forward to third year, I was trying to get an elective in radiology. I was trying to get an elective in OBGYN, but my first elective was 2 months, so 8 weeks back to back was internal medicine. I was in the hospital, I absolutely adored the hospital. I realized I was not a clinic gal. Nope, I'm okay. I want to be in the hospital. This is fantastic. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm going back to my first year self, internal medicine. Let's go, let's go, let's go. However, after internal medicine, I had surgery. I had urology, general surgery. My general surgeon went away and he stuck me with a colorectal surgeon. After that, I was in GYN. I saw gynecologic surgery. I saw gynecologic oncology surgery, which I also did research in. And I was like, wait, I don't want to just be in the hospital. I want to be in the OR. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I was not trying to be anywhere else. I remember in internal medicine, they would send us down to the ER to take admins if that particular precepting physician was our preceptor for the day. And I was like, I don't think I want to be in the ER. I don't want to be just walking around the hospital. I don't want to be rounding. I want to be doing something else. Like, please, I want to be doing something else. Get me in the OR. Like that's just what I wanted to do. And so at the end of third year, I was thinking general surgery or possibly urology. OBGYN went down on my list because I just only wanted to do GYN, not OB. And for me, I know I would be totally disinterested and dissatisfied if I had to go through all of board studying for my OBGYN boards after, you know, I've done the residency and everything, to sit for the OBGYN boards and have to relearn OB and have to go through all of residency doing OB. I just wanted the gyne part. My OBGYN was specifically credentialed to do GYN only in the hospital, and I wanted their job. That job, that was that, like, still to this day. I saw him when I was doing an away rotation. I did NICU a couple of months ago, and I was like, I want your job. If I didn't have to do OB and I didn't have to deliver babies, because if you don't know, GYNs deal with outpatient as well as inpatient, and GYNs can also do surgery. They have patients who come in for a variety of reasons, whether it's miscarriages, whether it's period issues, whether it's any gynecologic issue, they go to the GYN. Needless to say, they got OR time and they got to see a patient population that I saw myself in. Like, I remember going to just see some of the patients. I would be flown in for surgeries, and I remember there was this one girl and I held her hand and she didn't speak any English, but I was like, you know what, this is okay. And I remember leaving that day and I was like, wow, if this is something I could do every day, probably not. I would not wish her situation on anyone, but if I could do that once a week, twice, every month, like something like that, is why I would want to go through all of this as everything that encompasses going to medical school, taking the boards, you know, paying tuition, you know, traveling for all these rotations and everything. Like, it would make it all worth it. I knew holding that lady's hand that this was something, like, this was something very special, and it touched my heart. But you know what didn't touch my heart? OB, delivering babies, always being on call, people screaming, the smells, the staff, it just was not my vibe. It wasn't for me. And so OBGYN went down the list, and even though GYN crept up, I saw very similar things in urology. And I loved the scopes that they would do, and I would love the little quick procedures. I did some vasectomies, and like, it was just so cool. It reminded me a lot of HIV testing and counseling that I did back before medical school. It was one of my favorite jobs. I wrote about it in my personal statement for medical school. I wrote it again in my residency application. Like, I just loved those instances where we were able to help, we call them clients, but those people at the time. Like, it was just my favorite thing. It encompassed education, health, wellness, family planning. Like, it was just everything. Like, I absolutely enjoyed it. And so urology was #1 on my list. Out of all of the surgical subspecialties, it was my #1. And that brings me to 4th year. So as you guys know, 4th year brings to a front a lot of realities. You know, in 4th year, you get your test scores that show you, if not, maybe not show you, it's, you know, it's not definite, because we're supposed to be looked at as a holistic person in terms of application review for our prospective residency. However, I realized that urology was just not of reach for me, and I'm the type of person who wants to maintain realism. I'm not someone who's like bushy-eyed. Sorry, I always say that, bushy-eyed. It's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I knew that me matching into urology with no research, I'd probably only have 1 letter of recommendation unless I scrambled. I tell you, scrambled at the institution that I did all my 3rd year rotations, ended up declining the contract for my 4th year rotation. So I had to scramble towards the end of my 3rd year to find different rotation sites for me to be at. And I was just like, there's no way I can't, you know, find a urologist that I really enjoy to write me a recommendation. And it was just a lot. I didn't have research. It's one of those specialties that they don't even match within the match. They have their own match. So match is the type of residency portal that houses a majority of residencies, but there's some like ophthalmology, the eye, and urology that don't match in there. But there's also like the US governmental, I don't know how you say it, like the military services, they also have their own match. And I just realized, like, I don't have a complete well-rounded application to apply for urology. Like, it's just not something I had. And so I had to think long and hard my 4th year. And currently I'm still in the interview process for where I have applied to possibly continue my career in, like a specific specialty. And I know this is a cliffhanger, but I want to keep it to myself. I don't want to tell anyone where I applied and for what residency I applied, because I don't know. At the end of my 3rd year, and this is me being completely transparent. I mean, I guess it's not transparent because I'm not telling you, but I had a dream, and I believe that God confirmed what I will be doing. It was as clear as day. I wrote down the date. It's literally saved in my phone on my calendar, and that's how I applied. And so I have 1 interview, my last interview of this season, I believe. I don't know, some other ones might trickle in. We have about 2 more months. It usually ends in January. Now it's December 2023 when I'm recording this video. But yeah, I had a dream, and that's how I applied. I know it's like anticlimactic. It makes no sense. Like, you really just did that? But I truly believe that is where God is calling me to be. And just like I spoke to you just now in this video, and I told you about, you know, I think the specialty fits my personality. That's something that I believe it does. And on top of that, you know, I'm able to also be in the OR with that particular specialty. I get to deal with both men, women, boys, girls, and, you know, I think that everything will happen. I think that dream will come to pass. But I'm gonna leave it to God. And I know this is probably like, wow, you really just made me watch this whole entire video, but at the end of the day, I'm at peace. Like, I know some people are worried. I've been on the Discords reading, and it's just how it's supposed to be. And that was it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.